The first page of the amputee mobility predictor is an area where you're going to collect data on the patient, but it also is an area where you can put your subjective opinions as to the patient's rehab potential. So in the top of it, it's just simple things like the patient's name, date, address, things you'd want to know. Male, female, if they're amputated on the left or right leg, what amputation level, are they a knee dysartic, transmet, transfemoral, are they bilateral, and then cause of the amputation, and that's a big one. You should know the cause if you can find out. Was it traumatic? Was it a disease process? What that can tell you a lot about the rehab potential. Such as you take a veteran who had his leg shot off, but is otherwise healthy. He's going to have a lot of rehab potential, as compared to somebody who has been sick for 5 years with multiple complications of a disease process. Still isn't going to have much rehab potential. And then another big one is the condition of the other leg, the contralateral limb. Very important. You might have a healthy person that got in an accident, lost their left leg, but their right leg is also damaged, but they didn't lose it. But it's still not in a very good condition. So that is not a very useful leg. So their contralateral limb in that case is going to limit them on their rehab potential. And their medical history. Again, if they are young and healthy and lost their limb to some kind of an accident, or they've been sick for years with multiple comorbidities, it's important to note that. And if they have a prosthesis, how old is it? And when was it fit? When was it followed up on? Things like that are important information because you might not have a good fit at that point. And then the bottom of the page, you have rehabilitation goals and mobility expectations. That's where you can put your goals and the patient's goals. What do they want to do? What's going to make them happy? What's a successful outcome for them? And then you can put your expectations of reaching those goals based upon the information that you've found out up top, and then ultimately the results of the test. The first one is just sitting balance. Okay, so you have the patient again sit, their arms crossed at the edge of the chair, not leaning on anything, and try to be there for 60 seconds. And in the previous video you saw that he could do that, so we'll move relatively quickly on that. So Jay is able to do that even without his prosthesis on. All right, number 2 is the sitting reach test of the AMP No Pro test. Okay, so you have a patient sit, reach out with either arm, with the ruler at the end of their fingertips, come up. Okay, Jay was able to accomplish that. Okay, we're going to do this again and show maybe another way where it wouldn't be so successful. So you can reach out, okay, come up, okay. Still needed to use the arm of the chair, had to adjust his position for more balance. Without his prosthesis on, that would knock him down 1 point. Still accomplished it. So again, he was able to do it without any support. That's number 2. The second time around, demonstrated needing some support. That brings him down to a number 1. So now we're going to do the chair-to-chair transfer. Okay, that's number 3 on the list. And you're going to have your patient transfer from one to the other. Okay, that was a very successful transfer. Arms are crossed. I was able to get up independently and controlled. Still transferred to the other chair even without his prosthesis. Show us one where they might not be so smooth. Okay. So you can see he needed the assistance of the arms of the chairs. Still was able to accomplish it, but with assistance. That would knock him down to a 1. Now if your patient's uncomfortable doing it, or you're uncomfortable as the administrator of the test, then put a 0 and don't do it. All right, this is number 4, 5, 6, and 7 of the AMP No Pro. The first 4 is arising from a chair. 5 is how many attempts did it take him to get out of the chair. 6 is immediate standing balance. And 7 is standing balance for 30 seconds. Okay, so you're going to observe all these things in one motion. So you have your patient arise from the chair. Go ahead and stand up. Okay. And you're going to look at his immediate standing balance. Very stable, even without his prosthesis. Took 1 attempt to rise from the chair. That's number 5, so that's 2. Number 4, rising from the chair, is a 2. The immediate standing balance is a 2. And he's going to be able to stand there for 30 seconds. That's going to be a 2. Okay, go now. We're going to do this again, show a different way of doing it. Use the parallel bars. Okay, go ahead and stand up. Okay, as you can see, in that attempt, he was able to accomplish it. He rose from the chair, but it took him 2 attempts to do that. He had to adjust his position in the seat of the chair first. He had to use the parallel bars for leverage to get to the standing position. His immediate standing balance wasn't so good, so he had to keep touching the parallel bars to get that balance. And then you can see he's hovering over the parallel bars for that 30 seconds of standing. So he wasn't able to accomplish 30 seconds standing without an assisted device of the parallel bars. Okay, so that puts us number 4, arising from a chair as a 1 because he had to use the parallel bars. Attempts to rise as a 1 because he had to take 2 attempts. Immediate standing balance, a 1 because he had to touch the parallel bars for balance to get that initiated. And number 7, standing balance for 30 seconds is a 1 because he had to touch them to keep his balance during that period of time. Good. Okay. Number 8 is single limb standing balance. But because it's the AMP No Pro, you kind of just accomplish that in number 7. So you'd have the patient get to a standing position again and try to stand on their one limb for 30 seconds unassisted. In his case, he was able to do it, but then demonstrated that he might have to touch the parallel bars, so therefore it was knock him down to a 1. If the patient's unable to do it at all, then it's a 0. All right, so standing reach is number 9. You have the patient stand up, and they're going to reach out and grab the ruler. Okay? Now he was successful in doing that, even without his prosthesis. Not every patient is going to be able to do that, so we'll demonstrate that. Okay. So that's a lot of what it might look like unsuccessfully. I had to use an assistive device. In this case, it's parallel bars. The nudge test, okay, especially without a prosthesis on. We're going to come in and do the 3 taps on the chest, have a chair behind them, and have an assistive device available just in case. Or if your patient's uncomfortable doing it and you're uncomfortable, don't do it at all. Very successfully and stable. Pretty amazing. And then the eyes closed. That's number 11. Can he stand there with his eyes closed for 60 seconds is generally a thing, but it's not so much the time, it's the quality. He's able to do it for 30. I still would put him at a 2. Okay. So he was unable to accomplish it for 60 seconds with his eyes closed without his prosthesis on. He had to use the parallel bars for balance. So that would put him at 0. All right, we're going to move on to number 12, picking up an object off the floor. Okay, so you want to have a ruler or something, you want it about a foot away from their toes. Okay, in this case, put that right there. Very successful in doing that, even without his prosthesis on. Not everybody's going to be able to do that. Okay. Needed the parallel bars to accomplish that. Had a little bit more squat going on in his leg. So that would knock him down to a 1 with those assistive devices being used. The first attempt, he performed it independently without help or assistive device. I would put him at a 2. So sitting down is number 13. I want your patient to cross their arms and sit down in the chair. Okay. Very controlled, even without his prosthesis on. Okay. That time demonstrating what a lot of patients would do, which would be use the parallel bars or the arms of the chair for control. Now we can put them down to a 1. Now if they plopped into the chair, totally in control, okay, that's a 0. Okay, we're now at that point where we're going to get the initiation of gait going. So that's number 14, 15, 16, 17 on the list of tasks. So initiation of gait. Yes, you can do this test without a prosthesis on. Obviously, they're going to need an assistive device, but they can still do it. So if they feel comfortable and the patient's confident in being able to try it, I say do it. So initiation of gait. So I'm going to ask the patient to begin walking, and I'm going to be looking at their step length and step height, the step continuity, and then their ability to turn around and come back. Okay, so go ahead, Jay, start going. Okay, so Jay had demonstrated that very well. On that, I'd give him initiation of gait. He doesn't hesitate. He gets a 1. His step length and height, he cleared his foot. He wasn't circumducting. He had a step length of equal distance. On his sound side, he didn't have his prosthesis on, so you can't comment on that side. So he has a 1. And foot clearance, he has a 1. Step continuity, he has a 1. It was very symmetrical. And his turning ability, even with the walker, he's able to go down and do a 3-point turn and come back. Number 18, variable cadence. So Jay's going to demonstrate his ability to adjust his speed. So go ahead, Jay. Go faster. Slow it down. Bring it back. Speed up. Slow down. Okay, that's very high level walker work there. So he's still able to vary his cadence even without his prosthesis. Because of that, he's symmetrical, increase in speed and controlled manner. That's a 2. Okay, so if somebody can't do their variation, they just 1 speed the whole way. Let's see that real quick. Just go short. Speed up. Okay, come on back. Okay. We got 1 speed. Unable to vary his cadence in this situation, so that would knock him down. Okay, number 19 is stepping over an obstacle. We're going to have Jay approach it without his prosthesis on, using an assistive device. Come back. All right, our superstar Jay was able to accomplish that pretty smoothly. Now, he would still get a 1 in that case because he didn't catch his foot, but he interrupted his stride. Makes sense. Doesn't have his prosthesis on. Okay, so he got a 1 on stepping over an obstacle. Now, if somebody can't attempt it, can't step over it, they get a 0 if they're not confident in it, or if they do what Jay did, interrupt their stride or catch their foot on it, that knocks them down to a 1. But if they can't accomplish it at all, it's a 0. Okay, this is number 20, stairs. So you can have your patient come to the stairs. Now this is Jay without his prosthesis on. He's going to go ahead and go up and down the stairs. You're looking at ascending and descending independently. Okay, so he was able to ascend in a controlled manner, step over step, kind of. Without his prosthesis, you can't assess that. So since he wasn't able to do that, and he must use the railings for support, he got a 1 on that, both ascending and descending. Okay. Again, if your patient is uncomfortable doing this, you don't have the strength or balance, don't do it. It's a very advanced move. And even if I've had patients say they can do it without the railings, no, you can't. I'm not going to have you break an ankle on my watch. So don't do it. Okay? So that's stairs. You want your patient to be able to go up and down. All right, now we're on number 21, which is assistive devices. So in this case, Jay's assistive device of choice was, excuse me, was a walker, and that puts him at a 2. There's many other choices, such as crutches and canes, or none at all, and the score changes accordingly. Thank you.